welcome the founder and CEO of Kansas City Sports Network, BJ Kissel, and from the Gold Standard Network, ESPN Radio, and 95.7 The Game in San Francisco, Rob Stats Guerrera. Are you also the CEO of Gold Standard? Like, what should we call you?
CEO sounds good. I can be a CEO.
Okay, I like that. So we got two CEOs, two bosses in charge here. But Stats, we got to start with you because you're at the Big Dorito. You're there. Set the scene. What's the energy?
The energy is crazy. There are so many people here. There's people wearing Super Bowl shirts and Niner shirts everywhere, which is new for me because I live in Connecticut. So it's nice to actually see a little Niner support here. And obviously, people are excited already. You can just feel it when you walk through the hotel. Is
there more Niners than Chiefs fandom so far?
I mean, I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, so far. And you know what else cheered me up? The Raiders official team store is right by where my room is. And if you walk by, there are Jimmy Garoppolo jerseys on sale. So that just made it extra special.
Rob, the 101 in being a star in the media, which you are with everything that you've done, you do not tell people where your room is located or what it's near.
Nobody cares about me, Kay.
Yes, they do. I care about you. We're going to get to you in a second. BJ, Super Bowl 54, it's a rematch, of course, of that. What is the biggest difference? Let's set the table in terms of what this team looks like now, what this game looks like from 4 years ago.
Yeah, from the Chiefs' perspective, I think there's only 10 guys on the roster currently that were on that team back in 2019 when these two teams met down in Miami. But yeah, I think both general managers, John Lynch, Brett Veach, have done a phenomenal job with both of these teams. A lot of the big names, the big players are still there, but it's going to be a fun matchup. I think the energy is going to be fun for this one with the matchup coming back and being two of the best teams throughout the regular season. Obviously, the Chiefs' path to get there has been a little different this season, but I don't think anyone's surprised that San Francisco made it. They've been kind of the team destined from the beginning of the season that was going to represent the NFC and a tough NFC, the way that it all kind of shaped out. But I'm excited for this one. I don't think Chiefs fans are probably in Vegas yet. They're kind of used to this Stats and Kay. They understand how to get there, when to get there, and the best time and all that stuff. They've had a lot of practice over the last few years.
Wow.
Man, look at the way you're just so calm and relaxed. This should be a fun matchup. Like, it's not a Little League matchup on Saturday morning. It's the Super Bowl. The 49ers better not have that attitude. I'll say that because they need to get right before this big game.
What are you looking at in this game, Stats? I know you're covering it like all over your network, all over other media. You'll be on Radio Row. What are you looking at as far as maybe not even the differences from the last rematch to this one, but like what's really standing out to you?
I got to look at the defense. Look, they had their struggles against the Lions. Detroit pushed them around in the first half, and the 49ers are supposed to be the big bullies. And the players have talked about it. They talked about it last week. Steve Wilkes called the effort embarrassing. So they need to get back to being that bully because obviously it's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and they're really good.
I want to know, like, determining factors. BJ, you know, Travis Kelce, he's on a tear right now. There's obviously a worry about the Niners' ability. Is he the factor? Maybe we'll get to that in a second. But, BJ, what does this game come down to for you for the Chiefs side?
Not to simplify, and I've said it throughout the entire playoffs so far, it's turnovers. If Patrick Mahomes can continue to be as efficient as he has been and not allow opposing offenses to have short fields and easy points against a Chiefs defense that has been as good, if not better than we expected, especially down the stretch of the playoffs. This is a defense that's given up 32 points in the second half of their last 8 games. They have been absolutely dominant. They're starting to be compared to teams, at least statistically, compared to some of the best teams that we've seen through stretches in the playoffs, giving up 13.7 points per game in their 3 playoff games. It's ranked right up there with teams like the 2013 Seattle Seahawks and the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. And so it's different for Patrick Mahomes this year. And you've talked about it on your show all the time, being a game manager and doing those kinds of things. On that side of the ball, that's what I'm looking for. And on the other side of the ball, it's Brock Purdy against the blitz. We know Steve Spagnuolo loves to send pressure. They're one among the teams that send the most pressure in the league, and there's not a quarterback that has been better in the NFL this season against the blitz than Brock Purdy. So those are the two matchups. Those are the 7 to 10 plays that are going to affect this game are going to come on both those quarterbacks making plays outside of the pocket and off script.
Determining factor, Stats.
First of all, I just think it's really funny that Patrick Mahomes has to be a game manager, and the only criticism we hear of Brock Purdy is that he is a game manager, so that's funny. Determining factor, I agree on the turnovers for sure, but for me, it's how the 49ers can slow down Isaiah Pacheco. He is such a help for that offense because he just grinds out yards on tough carries, gaining 3-4 yards per carry. It helps keep Mahomes ahead of the sticks. That makes life easier for him. And look, we've seen the Chiefs offense this year has not been the same Chiefs offense that we usually see under Patrick Mahomes. If the Niners can slow down Pacheco and keep Mahomes behind the sticks, they're going to have a much easier time slowing that offense down.
Do you think Kyle's ready for this, Stats?
Good question. You know, he did an interview with Peter King last week, and he said actually Super Bowl 54 haunts him more than the 28-3 Super Bowl. And Kyle, you know, he did some things in Super Bowl 54 that were a little sketchy. I thought he butchered the end of the first half with the clock management. I know there was a big penalty, but even then they wouldn't have had much time to score. I think he recognizes the value of every offensive possession against the Chiefs because that defense is so good and because Patrick Mahomes is so good. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we saw a little bit more aggressive Kyle Shanahan, maybe a Kyle Shanahan that's willing to go for it on fourth downs, because I think he realizes when you're in the scoring area, you have to cash in against Kansas City.
Yeah, I feel like Stats, that's what because I look at, it's hard to build the case for the Niners over the Chiefs, just given Andy Reid, and then you have Mahomes, and then you have just then you have Travis looking like he's looked this entire time, and I very much am wondering if Kyle can do that, because in those big moments, you can sort of see the 28-3 right here, and you can sort of see the crowd. And you and I have talked about it, and it's got to be different this time around, and aggressive is the way to go, and starting quick, of course, but that's all on Brock Purdy, too.
Absolutely. The 49ers have scored more points on their opening possession than any team in NFL history. So they have been starting fast, but not in the playoffs. In the playoffs, they actually haven't been able to do that. So that is something I'd like to see right off the bat. And Kyle can dial up game plans with the best of them. You know, against the Ravens, I know they had a lot of turnovers, but they were actually moving the ball in that game, and that's obviously a really good defense. So we know that Kyle can do it. But obviously, Sunday, he's going to need to. He's going to be aggressive, and hopefully they're going to come out and get off to a fast start.
BJ, you mentioned Pacheco, and I love that. But Travis Kelce really is on some level. There's like an emotional part to it, too, that I think is driving him in the momentum when things started to click. What have you noticed about him, and what are you hearing since these playoffs have started?
It has been a different Travis Kelce once the playoffs started. I don't know if it's just later in his career and that there have been a lot more whispers and doubts about, how long he's playing. Is he slowing down at all? And I don't think you need to look too far at any elite athlete whenever they're doubted or there's people saying, hey, they've lost a step. They look for motivation wherever they can find it. Last week, the Baltimore Ravens gave him plenty of motivation the week leading up to the game, during the game, even right before the game with the kicker. And guys like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes is wired the same way. I think a lot of it with Travis is people doubting him, thinking that he had lost a step or two. And you get to the playoffs, you get to this time that they have the experience, they understand kind of how to handle their emotions, handle that adrenaline. And Travis Kelce's among the best there is. And when he and Patrick Mahomes are on the same page, off script with the plays that they run, especially against a zone-heavy team like San Francisco, with something that Travis Kelce is so good at, he's going to obviously be a big factor in this game. But the reason the Chiefs have been successful throughout the playoffs, it's not just Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco. Their complementary pieces have stepped up and made plays when their name's called, whether it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling stepping up and making the big catches, not going to light up the box score, but Patrick Mahomes needs those guys on 3rd and 7 when they're open to make the plays. And MVS has done it. Justin Watson has done it. Noah Gray has done it. And that's been the recipe for success overall for this team compared to what we saw in the regular season.
And the best duo as far as secondary, a huge advantage that they have over the Niners. I like, and you're naming these guys, it's just a Brett Veach-a-palooza, and John Lynch has done an amazing job on the other side. Both teams built differently, built in very different ways. I've said this to you before, BJ, and you were so kind enough to credit us, me and Hamilton, on KC Sports Network with the fact that Patrick Mahomes is the highest paid quarterback this year, and he's playing the Super Bowl. That's never happened, not in the Brady era, not in any era. So it's very impressive just as a team in a front office what they've been able to accomplish here. I look at the Chiefs, and the reason you like them is because they're like the snowball coming down the mountain that's adding snow and getting faster and crushing everything in its path. And I'm looking at the Niners stats in the playoffs, and it's like, okay, it's going, and then it gets stuck in some trees, and then it keeps kind of dislodges itself in it. The momentum in the playoffs has been a little wonky. Would you agree? And how much does it matter?
I do agree that they have not looked as dominant as they have looked in the regular season, for sure. But, in that game against the Lions in the second half, they scored on 5 straight offensive possessions. That's a pretty dominant thing. And I know the Lions defense is nowhere near the Chiefs defense, but that's what you would want to see. I mean, the last time we saw the 49ers offense, they were cooking. And so I'm hoping that carries over. I know the Chiefs defense is excellent. I know that Mahomes and Kelce are excellent. The best way to defend Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, I heard on your show, Kay, I heard Luke Kuechly talking about it, how basically you just have to look at Travis Kelce and never take your eyes off of him. And if that's what it takes, they got to get it done. There's no more excuses. They're probably not going to be back in the Super Bowl next year. They've had bites at this apple. They have to get it done.
All right, Stats, we appreciate you. I'll see you, of course, on Radio Row. I'm going to have a drink for you. I don't even know that you drink, but I'd like you to stop by. We were going to have a Smirnoff bar set up, a bartender. Vernon Davis is going to be a celebrity bartender.
All right.
One of the days, so we got to get you there on Radio Row. And why don't you guys plug your stuff? So, Stats, where can we see you all Radio Row, and what can we expect?
So you can check us out, the Gold Standard Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts, or just search 49ers Gold Standard on YouTube. Our channel comes right up. We just hit 10,000 followers.
Woo-hoo!
Really appreciate everybody there. So you can find us there all week. We'll be on Radio Row also. So give us a chance. I promise we'll earn your time.
BJ?
You can find all our stuff at KC Sports Network. Have multiple shows each day from a team of more than 15 different hosts and former players and current beat writers and former beat writers and insiders. So got a little bit of something, a lot of different perspectives on the network getting ready for the game on Sunday night.
And the advantage you have is that if the Chiefs win, Tucker will be chugging a beer right here on Up and Adams, like he did last year at the Super Bowl parade. And that is what sets KC Sports Network apart. 2 amazing, badass CEOs. I get so much information, insight, analysis. You make my job so easy doing the 32 thing. I appreciate you both so much. Happy Super Bowl week.
Thanks, Kay.
I'll see you at the big